Greenhouse is gonna be a game changer for us. Why? We can plant year round. We've got these chickens over here. As long as we keep it cool enough for them, they're good. So it gives us an additional place for animals, livestock, right, if we need to. So we have one more batch of chickens that will be in here before they go outside and they mature. There's these nifty wall potters where essentially they are vertical. You know, I forget how tall they are, but they have like a bunch of planters essentially. Let's say they're about this size. U-shaped planters on them, and they stagger out like this. So we'll use that on the entire wall going down, and that'll give us the ability to grow things like these cauliflower or broccoli or onions or whatever, things that can grow in a more condensed space so that we save space all along the wall. From this side and from the other side, the two window sides, what we'll have is 3 4-foot by 9-foot boxes. So 4 feet by 9 feet, okay? That gives us a 3-foot clearance from our wall planters, gives us a 3-foot clearance from the front, 3-foot clearance on the sides. In between the boxes, we'll have 2 feet. So 3 of them will go 1, 2, 3. These will run vertically or parallel with the greenhouse roof. What we'll have here is probably 3 boxes that go perpendicular to the roof, and those will be roughly 3 by 15 feet or something. And we'll use those, for example, like one will be for tomatoes, where we'll string them all the way up, right? So we can have an entire row of tomatoes. And then whatever else we need to do, we'll grow corn in here as well to at least kick that off. And then the planter boxes will be more for like beets, for example. We've got beets right here, lettuce, spinach, cucumbers. Really, we'll take things per request. I've had a couple people ask about eggplant, peas, and our goal is going to be to optimize what we can plant. So I think traditionally people think of gardening as planting like one particular plant in a planter box, but there are multiple vegetables that can be planted together. So we're going to really maximize the space as much as we can. So we'll have the wall planters, we'll have these big boxes. If we can hang anything from the roof that will grow, we'll grow from there. Depending on our space in these corners and against the wall, we'll do small shelves or build small shelving. We'll get small lemon trees in here, small lime trees. Really, like, I want this thing to essentially be like a jungle. So we can grow as much as possible year round, and then ultimately give back to the folks that consume from us. In our planter boxes, I gotta buy a new batch, but I'll buy a box of like 2,000 composting worms, so it's red wigglers, and I think like European night crawlers. We'll put those in each of our planter boxes, and we'll utilize some of those vermicompost principles. So we'll have the worms in the planter boxes, we'll have some type of porous container or trash can. We'll dump our food leftovers to feed those worms, and they essentially come into the trash can and out, and they aerate the soil. They do the work for us. They leave their droppings behind, which are super beneficial to the plants. When they go in and out and they aerate the soil, it also promotes more root growth because those roots have an easier time spreading out. And so as long as you keep them fed, they won't consume your plants, your vegetables. And so we'll utilize that as well. I've got to do a little bit more research on all the beneficial insects. One of the things we are going to introduce, especially once we start planting at volume, is ladybugs to help. We're not going to use any pesticides whatsoever. One of the things I need to go back is make sure all the windows have screens. One of the things that ate up a lot of our greens last year were those little white moth things that lay their eggs. So those are a nuisance. So yeah, ladybugs will help. We don't use any pesticides. We'll use that organic fertilizer I talked about, made out of chicken poop. We'll supplement with potassium where we need. For example, like peppers need a good amount of potassium. Same thing with tomatoes. So ladybugs will be our primary that we use. You know, part of the downside, and we don't need to use nearly as much, but these taller planter boxes use a bunch of soil. Those 4x9 boxes will probably do maybe like 2 feet high max, so that'll reduce our usage. And then we're on ground. We don't plan on doing anything on ground. So hopefully as we use those planter boxes, the ground beneath us along with those worms will help restore some of this soil as well. And it'll be a little ecosystem on its own. So, yeah.